Hello, my friends. If you're watching this video, then you're probably a current or former teacher who's looking for a career that has a bit better work-life balance, maybe a bit better pay, or maybe a career that has more remote opportunities so that you can work from the comfort of your own home. So in this video, I'm going to teach you more about instructional design, which is arguably the best career for former teachers for all of the reasons that we mentioned and many more. So let's dive into it. So my name is Devlin Peck, and I've been an instructional designer since 2017. I was this close to becoming a teacher out of college, but I found out about instructional design and transitioned into this field as soon as I could. And over the years, I've helped many teachers transition into this field successfully. And it's also one of the most rewarding things that I do because I see how much happier teachers are after transitioning into instructional design for all of the reasons that we mentioned and more. So in this video, we are going to explore why instructional design is such a good career for former teachers, as well as what instructional design is if you don't know already, as well as some ideas about why not instructional design, just in case it isn't the right fit for you, right? This isn't going to be the best fit for everyone for reasons that we'll get into. And we'll also dive a little bit into how to transition into instructional design, but that's what this channel is all about. So there are plenty more resources and content on this YouTube channel to help you make that transition successfully if you do decide that it's right for you. So let's get into the good stuff. Why instructional design in the first place? Why is this such a good career for former teachers? I think the primary one is the work-life balance. So we ran a survey with almost 700 instructional designers, and 94% of them said that they were either satisfied or very satisfied with their work-life balance. Now, I don't have this data for teachers, but based on the teachers that I work with and talk to and the teachers that I know in my life, I have a feeling that that number is very far from 94%. So instructional design, if you're working full time, it's very much like a 9 to 5 kind of job. It's an office job. You're not going to be like grading papers after you get home or having to like work the weekends or feeling like super stressed about like work deadlines. Now, with certain companies and on certain teams, of course, there are like sprints. There will be some deadlines, but it's not going to be anything like teaching from the teachers I talk to. So that's probably the primary reason why teachers are so happy with instructional design, because between the work-life balance and the salary or the earning potential, in most cases, teachers are transitioning into this field and earning more money and having a better work-life balance. So that leads to a lot more time that people can spend doing things that they care most about, taking care of their families, taking care of themselves, which as teachers, it's kind of hard to fit in the self-care when you're working so much and feeling so stressed with everything that is going on with the teaching profession. So these two numbers right here, again, 85K is the average total compensation for instructional designers in the US. If you're just trying to make that transition as soon as possible and you kind of want to take the first like ID role that comes your way, I think most of those roles in the corporate side are between like 60 and 70K. But some teachers who are transitioning decide to hold out a little bit longer, build up their portfolio even more heavily, and you can land roles between like 85 and 105K if you hold out a bit longer on that front. So, and that's just if you're working full-time corporate, but you can also build up freelance businesses. Some teachers decide to go the freelance route, and that offers even more flexibility and in some cases even higher earning potential. In most cases, if you do treat it like a business. But yeah, so great earning potential, great work-life balance. Those are the two main reasons. And also, I mean, there are more. So plenty of remote opportunities. So through the pandemic, many teachers maybe got a little taste of working from home and saw how much they preferred that. So the way that the instructional design field has been going, it has been going in the remote direction. So there are tons of remote opportunities in this field, and that is like the norm. The people that I work with, the norm seems to be remote now more than going into an office. And this isn't like remote for now, it's just like permanently remote now. There are hybrid opportunities as well for people who still want to get into the office. The teachers I work with, they mention this point I think the most is they really like the creative side of instructional design. So we'll get a bit more into what instructional design is, but you get to be creative. You know, the creativity you bring into like your lesson plans or your classroom, you get to bring that into your work as an instructional designer as well, just in like a less stressful environment. And you still get to help people. We'll get into a bit more about what that looks like, but it's not like you're going to be, just like crunching numbers or something. Like you're directly helping people learn It's just in a different medium and a different capacity in which you're doing it. So you can still find, this can still be a very rewarding career for people who get their purpose from helping people learn. And you already have many of the skills that you'll need to succeed as an instructional designer. There will definitely be some upskilling required, but you're not like starting from scratch here. You don't need to go back to school. You don't need any like expensive certifications or anything like that. You can do this completely self-taught for free in 6 months. I mean, 6 months is about the average timeline. It could take up to a year. It could take you as little as 2 or 3 months. We'll get into that some more as well. But if you can look at this, I mean, even without knowing what instructional design is yet, like this is why I think teachers are transitioning into instructional design at a faster rate than like any other profession. It just makes a lot of sense for how quickly you can get into one of these careers that you are still using your skill set well. You might just think about what you do in a slightly different way. Like you call what you do some different things. But yeah, great earning potential, great work-life balance, and you still get to use a lot of those skills. So let's briefly talk about what instructional design is. Of course, there's more content on the channel to help you learn more about this. But essentially, you're creating learning experiences and resources to help people do their jobs better. Generally, okay? Now, I would say there's like a 95% chance you'll be creating learning experiences and resources. And what that looks like on the corporate side of things is you're creating these things to help people do their jobs like more efficiently or better. So if they're struggling with a certain task or process, they'll kind of go through these learning experiences that you're creating or use these like job aids or checklists that you're creating, and they'll be able to perform their jobs better. Now, instructional designers also work in like non-corporate settings, like instructional designers work in higher education where they might work with professors to kind of help them bring their in-person courses like onto the learning management system. There are some instructional designers who work in K-12 environments. That's not very common. I don't know many IDs who work in those settings. And then there are IDs who kind of work in the customer education kind of settings where you're educating a company's customers on like how to use their product. So there is some nuance in this, but I would say most of the roles that are out there that teachers are transitioning into are corporate instructional design roles, where you are creating content or materials to help people get better on the job. And the process you use to do this is you'll mostly be working with subject matter experts. So these might be people on the job who are already high performers. You kind of work with them, interview them, observe them to figure out what they're doing that works. And then you, as the instructional designer, you need to put that together into something that's going to be very easy for newer people or less experienced or less skilled people to consume and learn from. So you're the expert in how people learn and helping people learn more efficiently, but you work with other experts to learn more about like their content area or their subject domain. So you can work on a project in like an engineering department and then work on a project in like a healthcare team. Instructional designers are very versatile in the subject matter they can work with. So once you work with the subject matter expert, you write the content, and this can be in the form of like a script for a video, a storyboard for an interactive e-learning project, or it could be content for like a checklist or a facilitator guide or any of those pieces. And once you've written the content you need and you've gotten that approved, you'll typically develop those projects in an e-learning authoring tool or in a video editing tool or something like that. So most instructional designers wear a lot of these hats where you're kind of doing some upfront work, talking to stakeholders and subject matter experts. You're then doing the writing piece and you're doing the technical piece where you're developing these things in the software tools. So there's some nuance to this, but I don't want to get too bogged down in that in this video. But this should give you enough of an idea of what an instructional designer does so that if you do want to research this further, again, there's plenty of content on the channel to help you with that and plenty of content on the web. So why not instructional design? This will be important as you're evaluating other career paths to choose. Instructional designers may not and often do not have a lot of contact with the audiences that they're serving. So if you're used to being in the classroom and you like seeing that like aha moment in your students and you just really like working with the people that you're supporting and seeing their growth firsthand, you may not get that experience as an instructional designer because you're often working behind the scenes. So again, you're working behind the scenes with the experts. You're kind of creating these like self-paced materials. You may be creating videos or self-paced e-learning like courses. That's what a lot of teams are doing. It's kind of like a PowerPoint, but more interactive. And the tool that you use to create these experiences is very much like PowerPoint. So you create this thing, But then you kind of send it off, you put it onto a learning management system, and hundreds or thousands or millions of people go through it. But it's not necessarily saying like, oh, this is by Devlin Peck, or like, you're not going to be getting like the recognition for that. You're not necessarily going to be watching people going through that experience. So it could be a bit different from teaching if you're used to working hands-on with your audience. And this isn't every team. There are some instructional design roles where the instructional designer designs the learning experience and then facilitates it, like in front of a live audience. Those roles are pretty rare from what I can tell. Again, your role does kind of shift as being more behind the scenes. And some teachers are like thrilled about that. They're like, it was exhausting being in front of the class every day. My favorite part about what I was doing is writing the lesson plans, or working with the learning objectives, or thinking of creative ways to help people learn, not necessarily getting up in front of the class and doing that. So, and also that being said, you can definitely help your team learn. Like, there's still going to be collaboration. You still can, you still will be working closely with like the team, but you might not be working with the people that you're actually supporting every single day. So something to keep in mind, something to explore further if that's important for you, because again, there are roles where you can be in that position, but not most of them. And you'll likely design learning for adults. And this is either a pro or a con. Some people, they love teaching. They're elementary school teachers. They love teaching kids. They love working with younger people because I guess, they have a lot more like growth potential, or they're just at a different phase in their lives. Some people really like being able to make such a big impact at that stage in their lives. As an instructional designer, you're probably going to be designing learning experiences for adults. I was a freelancer, and there were some projects people would reach out to me about where it's like, hey, we need to design all these courses for our like younger audience. So there are opportunities like that, but the norm is instructional designers are working to support other adults in the workplace. So if you really want to design learning experiences for children, again, it may be trickier to find roles like that. And then if you're looking for a really, really easy transition where you can kind of just put in your resume and get a job tomorrow, instructional design is probably not going to be the field for you. You will need to spend some time building your skills to make this transition successfully. I mentioned you already have a lot of the skills you'll need. You'll just need to kind of learn how to talk about them differently. But there are also some skill gaps that you'll need to fill, especially around the technology that we use in the field. And it's not super difficult technology. Like I said, it is very similar to PowerPoint, but you are going to need to commit some months to upskilling, to revising the language you use on your resume, the language that you'll use to talk about yourself in interviews. It will take time. And because instructional design is such an attractive career choice for former teachers, since the pandemic, there's been this trend where teachers are kind of applying to these open instructional design roles in droves, like hundreds or thousands of applicants from teachers who are just using their teaching resume without doing any upskilling, applying to every instructional design role that they see. So this has left a bad taste in some hiring managers' mouths, where it's like, they're seeing a lot of teaching resumes with teachers who haven't upskilled. And you may see as you're transitioning to the field some kind of negativity around that. But then there are the teachers, like teachers I'm working with, teachers who are landing some of the best roles in the field. They're coming into this on a 6-month timeline or so, 6 to 12-month timeline, and they're saying, I'm going to learn these skills. I'm going to build a portfolio to show them off, and I'm not going to accept like an entry-level instructional design role. Like I'm going to land a solid ID role. I know the skills that I can bring to the table. So if you want to like vastly increase your odds at success of making this transition, you need to approach it more like that. Like, you're going to be putting in some time, investing in your own self-education to make yourself a qualified ID. Not so much, I'm going to send out my resume to 100 places. Someone's going to take the chance on me and they'll help me learn, because that's a lot like playing the lottery, especially with how many teachers are doing that right now. If you want to stand out, it's going to take some time and effort upskilling. So let's lead into that, how to actually do the upskilling. This is going to be a general overview. I have a full video and a full playlist on how to become an instructional designer. So I'll link plenty of helpful resources for you beneath this video. But the overview is you do need to learn the skills. So the technical skills is mostly where that gap will be for you if you are a teacher. You'll need to create your portfolio. So this is where you show off the skills that you have, and it is what sets you apart from other applicants on the market. You can stand out much more with a portfolio website than you can with a resume. And again, I have plenty of content on that, plenty of examples of what good, effective portfolios look like. And then you need to learn how to reframe your experience. And part of this will come along with just immersing yourself in the field and building these new skills. But you're going to use some different language to talk about the things that you've been doing to make yourself seem much more credible and experienced for instructional design roles. Because you have been doing instructional design work, you just haven't been looking at it through that lens. So again, the teachers that I see transitioning into this field, like they are landing such good roles. I'll link some portfolios below, but like Joanna Capuchilli was teaching abroad, and now she has a really good ID role at Amazon Web Services. Alex Strobick was an elementary school art teacher. Now she's working as a learning experience designer at Fidelity, and the list goes on and on and on. Again, I'm just going to link a ton of helpful resources for you below this video because there are plenty of reasons to feel confident about making this transition. Yeah, and I think just from the teachers I see getting into this field that teachers are making some of the best new instructional designers. That's not to say anything about any other people who are transitioning in from other fields. I think anyone can make a really good ID, but again, teachers do seem to be very do a naturally great job at this instructional design work. So check out the Become an Instructional Designer playlist. I will link that beneath this video. And then I also have the Become an Instructional Designer checklist. For those of you who do like checklists, you just want to be able to check off the boxes as you work through this upskilling experience. I will link that below as well. So if you have any questions, drop a comment below this video. The community is generally very, very supportive. And like I said, we do want to bring in new talent to the field. This field is growing quickly. Like since the pandemic, so much training is shifting from in-person to online and to e-learning and self-paced e-learning. And instructional designers are the people who are helping make that transition possible. So I think we are yet to reach the golden age for instructional design. I think until instructional design is more of like a household career, that we still have a long ways to go. So again, this is just me helping spread the word about the field, helping bring new people into it. This field has changed my life, and I've seen it change hundreds, if not thousands, of other people's lives. And I think this field will continue to do that for many, many years to come. So help spread the word. And again, if you have any questions as you go about your transition, just let us know because we are here to help. And I will see you in the next video.